What are the dollars? It's almost $22 billion of recall work that's out there, has an open recall. We have some markets where there's 30, 35, 40% of those cars. And we have some dealers that are literally making millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Today, I'm thrilled to sit down for another chat with Ryan Maher, CEO of BizzyCar and a former car dealer turned tech innovator. Since our last conversation, he has raised many more millions to tackle one of the car industry's biggest challenges, the staggering 70 million recalled vehicles still on America's roads. We dive into a newly released report highlighting the brands most plagued by recalls this year and uncover some eye-opening insights on just how severe this issue has become. Ryan, welcome. You've been busy.
It's been a busy couple months. It's good to see you again.
You just BizzyCar put out the Q3 recall report, which will talk all about that, what's happening in the industry. Before we talk about that, I want to talk about an announcement. Our favorite dealer turned founder has raised a $15 million round from Dealer Tire. Can you just tell us what the hell are you doing?
So we're $30 million raised to date, but we've been kind of quiet about it until now. And Dealer Tire is just awesome, and couldn't be happier with them joining as our partner.
Incredible. And then what problem are you solving?
Yeah, big picture. 70 million cars on the road today with an open recall. What's 1 out of every 4 cars driven by consumers? Huge problem. A problem that's not going away anytime soon. We've recalled millions and millions of cars this year on top of millions last year. And our solution helps fix that. So we make it easy for consumers to get recalls repaired.
Amazing. I love to hear it. I actually want to start with the brass tacks, which is your recall report that you just put out. BizzyCar puts out these reports, obviously quarterly. But Ryan, just get us kickstarted a little bit. Like, give us the high level of what is the purpose of this report? What are some findings that you've uncovered here?
I'm a third generation dealer. This is a problem that we've been trying to tackle for years. And I really, became interested in this during the Takata airbag recall, which, believe it or not, there's still millions of those airbags floating around. If you have a Takata airbag, you need to get it repaired. It is something that is very dangerous. It could kill you. There have been deaths from those airbags exploding in people's cars. So we really want to try and help solve and get those airbags repaired. Last year, we recalled over 30 million vehicles in the United States. Just through the first 3 quarters of this year, we've recalled 21 million cars. So huge number of cars on the road today where the manufacturer says, hey, we got to touch your car, or we got to reach out to your vehicle and do something about it. And in Q3, so which just closed about 10 days ago, we recalled 6.5 million cars in Q3. So a lot of interesting statistics in here. The biggest thing is, we separate recalls into different segments, if you will. The ones that you hear about the most on the nightly news are the ones they're really dangerous, right? And those are typically your do not drive recalls. They impact about 0.1% of all of the recalled vehicles year to date. So a small number. And then the other ones that you typically hear about are, an OEM goes on television and says, hey, don't park your car in your garage. The car will burn down, or the battery could light on fire and burn it down. And those park outside recalls has gone from 14% to 3%. So, I'm in this industry, you're in this industry. We want to see the manufacturers succeeding and bringing cars to market that don't have recall. So I would say overall, year to date, we're seeing an improvement in the industry in the terms of vehicles that are getting recalled.
Is this counterintuitive, right? Because if I think you've created a platform here, right? You mentioned that you come from a family of, dealership, you own dealerships, and it's like the more recalls, the more money that dealers can make in theory. Is that right? Like, is this sort of counterintuitive that it's, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there a perverse incentive? It's kind of tricky. So when these recalls get announced, it's sometimes weeks or even months before you can actually do anything about the recall. So for your audience that may not know how this works, the federal government actually dictates these recalls. It's through an entity called NHTSA, the National Highway Transport Safety Administration, that falls under the Department of Transportation. And they actually mandate this. These car manufacturers are required by federal law to get these recalls repaired. But the problem the manufacturers have, and this was super interesting for me, I didn't really know, but even as a car dealer, I did not know this. These car manufacturers, when they do the recall, they're not always manufacturing the parts that are needed to repair that recall. So I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a fuel pump recall. So something where your car is going down the road and something goes wrong with the fuel pump and it could stop the engine, right? So that's dangerous when you're driving 60 miles an hour on the highway. Well, the car manufacturers don't make just extra parts. That's too expensive for them. That would cost them millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. And so they make just enough parts for that production run. And so when there's a recall, it's super frustrating for consumers to have to wait weeks or months, right? They get the letter in the mail and they forget about it. And so, your question about is there money to be made? Sure, the manufacturers reimburse the dealers for that recall to get repaired, but the consumers sometimes are not happy about it, and they have to go to the dealership and they have to do this. So, fixing that overall issue is top of mind for the manufacturers. But yes, car dealers do get paid to get these recalls repaired, and it's good margin work for them, but it's not as good as you bring your car in for a standard repair.
Yeah, now you clearly have your fingers here on the pulse. Do dealers have capacity to do all this extra recall work today? Now, I do realize that the craziness from the last couple of years has gone down in terms of just overall consumer demand. I mean, disposable income's down. People have fewer savings to spend and whatnot. But do dealers have the service department is the one area in the dealership that's always constrained, right? Do dealers actually have that capacity to take in a lot more recall work?
Yeah, so it's a tough part of the industry, not having enough capacity, and that's usually limited by technicians. Do you have enough people to actually turn the wrenches, and that is a huge issue in our industry, a technician shortage. So, which correlates directly with capacity. Then you have some dealers that do have enough people, but they don't have enough service bays in their stores. Either they're landlocked or they're in an area where they just can't expand. And there's some huge opportunities there for additional service opportunities, mobile service, pick up and drop off valet. So there's some cool things we can talk about later about that. But as far as capacity goes, I mean, during when COVID ended and when we were trying to fix that glut, I mean, I was booked out 6, 8, 10 weeks in my stores. And that sucks for the consumers. That's just not a good customer experience. They want to get this stuff repaired. But I think you're starting to see capacity level. And I think the way that we should look at recalls today is think about them as a hook.
It's how you get the customer in the door.
It is. It's a fantastic opportunity to get the consumer back in the store because, many of these consumers, they've moved on, right? They've gone to a mom and pop service center. But the only place where you can get a recall repaired is a franchise car dealership. And we want to help facilitate that process.
We look at the brands with the most recalls, and let's exclude Tesla for a second, who came out number one because those are all completed via over-the-air updates, which that's a whole nother conversation on its own. I think that should be classified differently. Do you agree, disagree with that?
Yeah, OTAs are in order to do a fully comprehensive over-the-air update, OTA, you need to have a vehicle that has a true SDA, software-defined architecture. That's Tesla. So that they are in a unique capacity. It's like Apple, right? There's something wrong with the phone, they do a software update. Everybody gets it. It's simple. But that is not the case for the rest of the manufacturers in this industry. Stellantis, number one recalled vehicle this last quarter. BMW and General Motors were the next two. What is it that's causing some of these challenges? There's a lot of assembling that goes on in these car manufacturers, right? They're not actually building these cars. They're assembling them, right? That's why we call them, assembly plants. And when you bring in hundreds or thousands. Like when we work with Ford, we work with GM, we work with Stellantis. So that's a new announcement from our end. So now if you're a Stellantis dealer, we're fully integrated into their platform. And they're working with tens of thousands of vendors and subcontractors. It's complicated. And what is it that's causing this? Sometimes it's just cross-functional friction. You have a vendor that's importing a part that was manufactured and designed maybe in a different country, different continent, and then it gets here and it all has to work perfectly. And that's not always the case because these cars are complicated and they drive on the road and the roads have potholes and they're bumpy and there's definitely some complications to solving this issue.
Talk to me more about, we'll get back into the report and some of the findings here. Talk to me more about the business side, right? Dealer Tire, smart company. They definitely did their homework here. And I have to imagine they were impressed with just, the product market fit. I mean, you're clearly bringing real value to dealers. They're making more money because they're able to bring these recall customers to the store and then sell them additional service. Plus, at the same time, it's a win-win. The customer gets their vehicle fixed, safer cars on the road. I mean, everyone wins, right? Phenomenal tool. But talk to me about the actual untapped revenue potential, right? What do you know about your dealers? What are you seeing? Is there a wide variance between types of dealer, of the benefit they get? Does it just have to do with capacity, availability, and service, right? How much are dealers freaking making from this? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. So average recall today is over $350. So you take the parts cost, and then most people don't know this, but the dealers are actually reimbursed by the car manufacturers to get these recalls repaired. And so their profit margin on this can be, anywhere between 60 and 80%. It sounds really high, but compared to main shop work, it's higher than an oil change, but it's not as high as an engine rebuild. So dealers are really focused. They want to fix these big repairs, what we would call customer pay work. What are the dollars? It's almost $22 billion of recall work that's out there. The number is staggering. It's a huge number. And what we're trying to do is facilitate identifying, what these recalls are and get them in. So if you're a dealer and 25% of your UIO count, your units in operation count, has an open recall, and we have some markets where there's 30, 35, 40% of those cars. I mean, you're talking about millions of dollars. We've put over 1,000 dealers on our platform in just the last 12 months. And we have some dealers that are literally making millions of dollars from doing recalls.
The customers that come in for a recall, are they more likely, less likely, or, on average, likely to become a lifelong customer of that dealership, or if there's no impact? Yeah. So what do you know about that, right? Are these customers transactional? Are they oh, I'm just going to get my recall, I'm out, I'm going back to, whatever, Jiffy Lube, or I'm doing it myself? Or are they oh, wow, I didn't even know this dealership exists, or maybe I haven't been here in 5 years, I'm actually going to try this place out and now moving forward? What are you seeing?
Yeah, we got some big numbers on this. So one is what we call DSLV, days since last visit. If I'm a service manager, if I'm a fixed operations director, this is a number I need to be tracking now, just like UIO count or gross profit, because days since last visit directly ties to customer retention. So if you have a customer that's not been in your store in a year, 2 years, 3 years, why isn't that customer coming back to you for repair? Did something go wrong? Did we screw up as a dealership? And so at BizzyCar, we are very focused on finding the customers with high DSLVs, customers that have not been in 2 or 3 years. We average 700 days DSLV. Those are the customers that we're bringing back. So said another way, if you're a car dealer and that customer hasn't been in your store in 12 months or 24 months, recalls are the hook. One of the things that GMs really focus on is what's customer acquisition cost? So what's it cost to bring a customer in to buy a car, right? CAC. One of the things we don't really track in the service department is cost per appointment. There's a lot of marketing companies out there that'll you'll spend $5,000-$10,000 a month. You might bring in 30 or 40 appointments. And I keep hearing from dealers this concept of we got to cut expenses. but nobody's looking at what it really takes to bring a customer into the service department. And I think that's something that, we're going to spend a lot more time on in the coming months. And, maybe you and I can get together next year and talk about it. But that's a huge number that I think as a fixed ops director, we need to be paying attention to.
Dude, I have to imagine like selling this product is like the easiest thing in the world. And that's a compliment for you. What are like some of the objections you get from dealers, right? Like, because this is clearly, again, if you have a service department, or this is good, better for the consumer, you get more clients in the door, right? Everyone wins. So what are objections you get? I'm actually curious about that.
If you want a product that requires no training and no login, and you just want to go to the dealership and flip a switch and turn it on, that's us. If you want to dig into something, if you want another product to click a button on, don't use us, right? I'm trying to build stuff that's simple and easy to use so that dealers can go about their day. So the only objections we ever hear are, I've already got a team that does this. Okay, well, we're leveraging AI and automation. There's just no way. And we're not trying to be an AI company. We're using the AI tools that are already out there from Amazon and Microsoft, and we're just leveraging them to be very efficient and very focused. And that creates a better customer experience. But yeah, only objections are, we got a team in house, or I don't want free money.
Why do
so
I need you? Yeah. Again, one of the bottlenecks you'll likely face at some point, it may take a long time, but will simply be capacity of dealers, like I said, to actually service with their technicians. So I can only imagine that you are looking at, mobile service. You mentioned it earlier in the conversation, but mobile service is, to me, it's such a complementary opportunity for you. Like, I am right now, if I was on your board of advisors, which I'm not, and I'm probably not qualified to be, but if I was, I would be like, hey, are you looking at partnering with a mobile service company? Are you looking at acquiring a mobile service company, right? Like, you get what I'm saying, like, how can you create more capacity for dealers? That's the short way of, saying what I'm trying to say. So what's your take on mobile service in general? How do you think that's going to kind of complement dealerships in today, in the present, in the future?
I bet most of the listeners on today's call have ordered food in the last week, right? And people have gotten used to this mobile ordering ecosystem. And you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to be a supporter of it. You just have to acknowledge it's here, right? Like it's happening. And it's expensive. It's something that dealers have to figure out. And the only way to make mobile work is to be really efficient and control your costs. So you got to have great software. You've got to have a great process. You have to optimize a lot of things so you can give the customer the same great experience in the store as being out of the store. We're bullish on both mobile service trucks and service valet. We think consumers are demanding it. They are demanding it. The data is there supporting it. Net Promoter Score is significantly higher for mobile service experiences than with in-store visits. Nobody wants to go to a store and sit there for 3 hours, right? Or if I can get the same thing done in my driveway. So we believe that in order to increase capacity in our industry, there's going to have to be a mobile service renaissance. We were very, very intentional about our partnership with Dealer Tire because, and do you know much about them, by the way?
I mean, I've used them. I've ordered products from them as a dealer, but I don't know much beyond that. No.
So I had no idea. They're in 9,000 stores nationwide. Like, I know they're huge, and we use them in our dealership. But I had no idea, and they do a lot more than what meets the eye. And we feel very strongly that they're going to be a great partner beyond just accelerating, our sales growth and our partnership growth. There's some great partners that they're gonna help us bring into the BizzyCar ecosystem. But the big thing for us is how could they be a good partner with mobile, and how are others going to be a good partner with mobile? And the manufacturers are still trying to figure this out. You've seen the Ford model, you've seen the Mercedes model. And now there's a lot more manufacturers that are doing this. And I'll tell you, between now and the end of the year and early part of next year, almost every manufacturer that I know of will have some variation of this.
Pickup and delivery is really, really important for me. Now, let's just say the dealer can't offer that, doesn't want to offer that logistically or economically, doesn't make sense. I think the next best thing for simple stuff, again, I'm not talking about like, replacing an engine or big jobs, but I'm saying simple stuff is mobile service. I mean, listen, mobile service is growing. Whether you like it or not, it is growing. I think it's a win. But again, as a customer, not as a dealer, I would say my biggest concerns with mobile service are like, we have a technician shortage where you're in store in an air conditioned facility and, you have your bed, you don't have to travel anywhere. You don't have to face the customer. So I am concerned about, who is that person that's going to come to my house and service my car here? Like, where is the talent for that? Where is the talent pool? That's what I want to understand. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So you live in the New York area, right? So you have heating
outside of Philadelphia. Yeah,
outside of Philadelphia. So okay, so outside Philly. So you have air conditioning in your house?
Of course. I hope.
You have an HVAC technician come out to your house twice a year, and they do preventative maintenance in the spring and the fall. I bet you that's your schedule. And you're a busy guy, so you just want it like clockwork. Same thing in the car industry, right? You're getting your oil changed twice. You're rotating your tires. You're doing your annual seasonal maintenance. If you're in Canada, you're doing tires for tire season. That type of person is the same type of person we need in the auto industry. That it's so simple.
How do we get them?
So I will tell you, I've got a great HVAC company that services with us, little mom and pop HVAC company. They come into our car dealership. We have benefits. We have these huge, they're brand new trucks. They're brand new facilities. And you're saying earlier, it's heated, it's air conditioned. We've done a great job doing mobile service in our stores. It allows us to bring in a different kind of technician. The guy that doesn't want to be inside of a building, from 7 a.m. till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They want to be out in the field. They want to see sunshine. They're
interesting.
It's a different type of person.
So you're saying you're sort of flipping the script here. You're saying it's not like a worse job or like a inferior working conditions. You're actually saying it's better because that person wants to be outside. They want to see sunshine or they want to be on the road and have a bit of a different type of work environment each day.
Or they don't want to, we've got phenomenal service directors in my stores. So, but it's not like that in every store, right? Most service managers, and I don't want to mean all, but most come up through being a technician. We've never trained them to be a manager. We've never given them those skills. And if they're a great technician, that's phenomenal, but they could be a manager. And if they don't know how to manage people, then those technicians there are miserable. This is a great opportunity for maybe a really skilled technician that hates their service manager to get out in the field and go and do their mobile job. I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps, and there are some super, super talented guys that are leaving the service that don't want to work inside of, a building 8 hours a day, but would kill for a mobile service job. And think about it. I mean, good benefits, good pay. That's what we need. So where are we going to find these people? Some of them we're going to pull in from other trades and just give them a better experience. And some of them we're going to have to create.
Before we wrap up mobile service, are you doing anything within that realm right now other than what we discussed?
Yeah. So beyond the staffing and the obvious need for mobile service to exist, you got to have the right software tools to make it really efficient for dealers. Dealers are always in cost-cutting mode. If they can save $500 here, $1,000 here, you got to deliver value. So we have a great promotion going through the end of the year. Any dealer, and this is really aimed at for dealers, but we'll make it available to any dealer that is in mobile service. 60-day free trial on the mobile app. Mention Car Dealership Guy. You got it in. But we want get using tools that make them more efficient. And so we've got a great mobile app. No, you don't have to buy any extra hardware. And that is a way to get these technicians that are in the field to have a better customer experience because we're treating them and giving them better tools. So that's what we have that's big in the quiver and in our neck of the woods.
Exciting. And talk to me about the customer experience a little bit. Or like, what do I actually see as a customer? Like, just what is that like?
Yeah, so we want to, we compete with the Amazons and the DoorDashes and the Ubers for who's got the best customer experience. So I was in the airport last week. I can see my Uber driver right there on the moving map. This is how we want it to go. The first step is the mobile service coordinator in the dealership. He or she needs a really good experience to dispatch the technician without having to duplicate effort. The consumer needs to be able to go online and book their mobile service without having to wait for a callback. And then when that tech is on the road out there, I need to be able to see them. I need a picture of them. I need to be able to collect payment in the field, multi-point inspection. Everything that we do in our stores, I need to duplicate out in the field. That is the standard. And I believe we've hit it.
We spoke about why dealers maybe object. What about on the consumer side, right? Like, under what circumstance do consumers just say, no, I'm not going to the dealership? How do the manufacturers view that? Dealers, what's your take on that environment?
Yeah, so there's a great metric that the manufacturers track called missed opportunities. I did not know what this was until like a year ago, and I've been doing this a long time. So what is a missed opportunity? When a consumer comes into the store, into a dealership, and they have a recall, and they didn't know about it, right? What do you think they say when the service advisor walks up to them? They're like, hey, Yossi, want to let you know your 2021 F-150, you're here for an oil change. We also have 3 recalls on it. What do you think they say most of the time? I didn't even know. Thank you for letting me know. How long is it going to take to get this repaired? Time. It's the number one reason why consumers decline. And it's painful to have that consumer drive away with that recall unrepaired. And so what we did is we built a product called, Recall Scout. And literally what it does is it looks every day at the dealer's DMS and it says, okay, we have 100 ROs coming in tomorrow. 25 of them have a recall. Let's communicate to those customers in advance so that they can get on there. You are literally leaving money on the table if you don't complete these recalls. And you may not see that customer for 6 or 12 months. So better customer experience by informing the consumer in advance before they come in to get that repaired.
Yeah, it's a smart product.
Yeah, we have one really big thing that we're working on right now that we're going to announce next year. Would love to come back and share that with you before we go live. That is going to be really big for the industry. But in the near term, it's all about customer experience for us. If the customer has a better experience getting their recall repaired or their car serviced, they're going to increase that retention at the dealership and they're going to be loyal to that brand.
Amazingly insightful. Appreciate you coming on and sharing these insights with us. Any closing thoughts?
Great to be with you and look forward to joining you again here in a few months.
Appreciate you, man. Excited to have you on. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.